I can tell you now though, sometimes I feel like maybe I should have just bought a new boat. This is a big project. Alright, I've been using the wire wheel just to get rid of all of the old glue that was on the side walls. You can see some of the wire wheel marks are quite easy to see in the reflections, and that's just because the wire wheel was traveling in a different direction when I did that area. The whole lot has been done. I'm about to grab a bit of steel wool and give it a quick rub down just to get rid of anything that may have been missed. Once that's done, I'll get the wax and grease remover and then we'll start the primer.
A few moments later.
So I'm about to just run down to Bunnings, grab the paint. I've decided to go the inside. I've been flipping and flopping, but I'm gonna go off white. Okay, so I'm gonna get some etch primer and I'm gonna get some epoxy enamel white. I'm gonna do it in a spray paint as well because I really can't be bothered with brushes and rollers at the moment. I'm pretty good for spray cans, so I'll get that done. I'll be back in a minute. We'll clean out those top of the gunnels and then we'll get the painting. So I've just picked up some epoxy enamel, gloss vivid white. So we are going white in the inside of the boat. It's settled. Preparation takes forever, just the paint. So once we finish painting, and that's when we're going to start getting onto the framing. So with the framing, I don't actually know exactly how I'm going to lay it out yet. I've been throwing a lot of different ideas around. I've been drawing pictures and stuff like that, sketching diagrams. Just getting the last bit of silicone out of here. Check it out, nice and clean, nice and shiny. There is no more silicone left in the top of that gunnel. I'm spray paint out here, so I'm not going to need any overspray all over my stuff. Well, that's probably not what you do with gates. Which is fine, don't tell the wife. Anyways, this is going to take a while, quite boring, so I'm going to get the mask in, and when I come back, it'll all be masks. And then we'll get to the painting. We're all marked up. Just going to get the good old wax and grease remover, give it a once over, and we'll get into it. I can tell you now though, sometimes I feel like maybe I should have just bought a new boat. This is a big project. It would have been a little bit quicker if I didn't have to fix the trailer first. So that is one thing to remember. So this has taken a long time to get to this point. Like, I'm not sure a lot of people can really appreciate how long. If you can appreciate what I'm doing, hit that like button and help this video spread far and wide on YouTube. Like, I'm going to hit some wax and grease remover. So just to show the importance of hitting that wax and grease remover, look at that, look how dirty that is. And you didn't want to paint over that. That was white when it started, so I unfolded a bit. That's what it was. So you really want to clean it with wax and grease remover before you paint it, just to get the best paint you can get. If you're only going for a quick paint job, then maybe don't worry about it. Probably stick for a while. All right, here we go. So once again, I'm using the Deluxe Metal Shield. It's an etch primer. It's also anti-corrosive. Not worrying about the thick coats to start with. Not sure if you can see it by the camera, but if we look right in the middle, that one's not done, that one's half done. So we've got a light coat on there. Uh-oh. It was Paul. I'll call him back. We're in the middle of painting, Paul. You can come around here and do it for me if you want. Well, that's 2 cans of primer down. I think I need one more to get this finished up, but that's all good because I'm out of time and it's getting a bit cold, way too cold to be painting. I'm really pushing the limits here. Give you a quick look of what we can see here. So you can see that grey is starting to come through now, that light grey. You can still see it is a little bit thin. It's a little bit see-through, a bit transparent to be honest. But when you look at the floor and then the wall, you can clearly see that this has got etch primer all over it. Well, that's another day down. It is taking forever to get this done. I'm going to push the boat back in, go inside and have a coffee. I'll see you in a second. For you, for me, it's probably going to be a good 24 hours, maybe even 48. I need a bit of a break from this boat. See you soon. Here we go again. Last paint of the primer. So I have just ducked down and grabbed another etch primer. This time I've went with a Metal Pro brand instead of the Dulux. I didn't like the way that it was spraying out of the can. It is a little bit chilly. It's about 12 degrees at the moment, but I have got the primer sitting in a bowl of hot water. So it's been in there for about 10 minutes. It's nice and warm. It's going to help lay the paint down when the paint's a lot warmer. Well, I'm out of the primer. That's 3 cans of primer down. The last one was the Metal Pro instead of the Dulux. And I can tell you now, the Metal Pro went down so much nicer than the Dulux did. It seemed to have covered a lot more as well. Sweet, let's cut to some B-roll. Alright, so it's a cold and windy day. I'm about to hit the primer with some wax and grease remover, and then we'll get some of the epoxy enamel spray paint on top. I have got myself there some Dulux Gloss Vivid White. I didn't like the last Dulux primer, so I'm not sure if I'm going to like the Dulux enamel. We'll see how that sprays. First step, wax and grease remover. Just going to be a light hit with this, just to get rid of anything that might be sitting on top. This does dry and leaves no residue on the paint. You can sandpaper your primer before painting again, but I've decided not to worry about it. So I've gone ahead and picked up another couple cans of the Dulux Gloss Vivid White colour. I don't like the way these cans spray, but I've already started, so I'm just going to continue with it. Get on the mask so I don't end up choking on this stuff. So you can see the spray on it. It's like this much. There's no fan. It's just a tiny little blotch. Dulux, get your shit together. All right, gonna cut the recording here. You get the point. Let's skip to the results. All right, I'm done with the painting of the inside of the boat. Just gotta let it dry now. And if you're wondering, how much paint did it take? Well, here's your answer. To start with, I started with 2 Metal Shield etch primers. Now that's the Dulux brand. They didn't really spray out very well, so I didn't get great coverage. So I grabbed a can of Metal Pro etch grey primer. So then I moved on to the epoxy enamel in the Dulux brand again, in the Gloss Vivid White. I wanted it to be bright and I wanted it to be glossy on the inside of the boat, just the walls. So I started with 2, that wasn't enough clearly, but I knew I was gonna have to get more. Then I bought another 2 to finish it up. This one's empty, and this one here's got about a 1/5 left of the can in it. So that's how much it took for me to paint just the inside walls and the back of the boat. I'm shit at B-roll. We'll try a bit more. Well, there you have it, guys. The inside of the boat is painted. Next up is I might do the outside of the boat. I'm thinking a black. I was going to wrap it, but at the moment I'm sort of thinking maybe I'll just skip the wrap and just go straight to the paint. I'll follow the same procedure again. I'll use some etched primer, and then I'll use some gloss black paint. Just to remind everyone, this channel is a fishing channel. The boat build is just a little bit of a side thing. So please go check out the fishing content where you'll see Paul and I generally in boats, kayaks, walking banks, having a good old time catching Australian natives. You wouldn't believe it. 2 weeks have passed since I've painted the inside of the boat. Things got a little bit busy for me there, but I'm back. And let's finish off this video with just painting the outside of the boat. Can't keep the neighbours' dogs in line, so we're just gonna sit here until that dog shuts up. I could do this segment. Okay, so behind me, I've got some black etched primer. I've also got some epoxy enamel in a satin black. I'm gonna try the satin black on the outside, so I don't want it to be too shiny on the outside, but just a nice deep black. And I'll get some white stickers along the outside of it. Anyways, let's hit it up. Let's finish off this video on a high note. And that way we can get into the decking. Rightio, so I'm at the back and we're going to do some masking. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to paint this section in here and leave this top lip as full alloy. Guess we're just going to have to put music over this, because who wants to listen to an annoying dog barking constantly? I'll quickly get this whipped out and then we'll get to a little bit of sanding to scuff the edge up. So before we put the edge primer down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with the sanding blocks. They are labeled as extra fine. They're nice and squishy. If I was to guess, maybe around 320, 400 grit sort of thing. So it's quite nice. But the good thing is they're nice and squishy and you can bend them. You can get them into all the little areas and all the bends that you have on the side. So what we'll do is we'll just scuff this up. It doesn't do a lot, but it does enough that that edge primer is going to be able to stick on there nice and well. I've got myself my wax and grease remover, which I'm about to put down, some gloves, a mask so I'm not breathing that paint in, and I've got some hot water here. I'm just going to sit the edge primer in until I'm ready to use it. It is only about 14 degrees today. It's a winter day, it's a warmer winter day. While that sort of heats up, I'm going to have my coffee and get back into the boat. While I'm waiting for these primers to warm up, look how good the inside looks. Gloss, vivid white. It's looking real good. And I've tried to scratch that wall with my fingernail like really hard. I can't even put a mark on it. So that epoxy is working really good. It's an epoxy enamel. Dries nice and hard. Wax and grease remover. Need to make sure this surface is ready for paint. Give it every bit of chance to stick. That'll do it. As I said before, we're going down with the etch primer first. I'm using the Metal Pro brand just because I found that it sprays much nicer with these heads, and even the can. The way it's designed, it works better than these Dulux. But I've gone with the Dulux epoxy enamel because I couldn't find a satin black in a different brand, so I've gone again with the Dulux for the outside. First bit of etch primer, we'll put it down. We'll try to put it down light. Just going to start in this area out here, not try to do the smallest part first, start with a big area. Usually with the can, it's good to give a bit of a spray before you do your first spray as well, just in case it has like a whole lot of blobs come out. Yeah, look at that. It's looking real good. So you can see how it's laying down nice and patchy. The best way to lay your primer, just nice and light the first coat, and then we'll go heavier and heavier as we go. Last can. The side over there is pretty much done. I'll have one last look at it. The back of it is almost done. And this side here has just had its light coat, but I've got a whole can left to go. So I've got heaps of this to go. It's working really, really well. Let's keep going. So next step will be to put down the top coat, which is the satin black in the epoxy enamel. I'll let this dry for another 24 hours and we'll get back into it. So I'll catch you in the next second. told you it was only going to be a second for you. It's another glorious winter day here in my backyard, painting the boat. So it's about 2 days later. Yesterday was a bit bad for painting, a bit drizzly. However, we've got a great day today. So a fresh look at the etch primer that we laid down. It is looking fabulous. It is all ready for the paint to go on. And what we're going to be starting with is, I've already said it, but it's an epoxy enamel. And it is in satin black. The reason why I'm going to satin black is because there are some dents and stuff on the side of the boat. There may be some little, you know, scratches and things like that, and a gloss would really make those show. So if we go a satin color, it'll hide a lot of that, and we can put nice white stickers along the sides, which will make them pop. First spray in the garden, let the bees have it. Let's get to it. Seems to be really narrow again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch that over. It's the same nozzle that I was using from the etch primer. Just popping that on now. That's better. One can has actually given me one coat of the entire outside. Well, sides and back, that is. That means I can get another 3 layers down. Let's get into it.
Kevin.
We're ready. Finally got him around to do some work on the boat. Yeah. Finish up the last coat. Settle down. Let him go. It's like he knows how to use a spray can. So if the top coat's shit, it's because Paul did it.
Will be.
Give me your glasses, they're going to get overspray on them.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Oh, he says you can't teach an old dog new tricks, eh?
You're right.
This is a better perspective for everyone to see. There's just no space. It's like you got to eat the paint when you're painting. Paul likes to eat paint anyway.
Yeah. That's how I passed kindergarten. Ate the glue and stuff. They're like, this kid's going places. We'll let him go a few.
Look at that. So I opted not to paint this bit because this is the bit that's going to be rubbing in the sand and in the mud and things like that more often than not. So there's no point putting paint on it, that might come off. Look at that little schmick. So I'm going to get rid of the rest of the masking tape on the tops, the insides, the bottom walls, and then I'll give you a final reveal.
Many unbearable hours later.
We're done. Thank you very much if you made it this far to the end of the video. Paint is in, everything's cleaned up, it's looking good. Next thing is I'm going to get the motor on, take it out to the lake and just give it a little float just to make sure it did get all the pinholes. Makes it a little bit easier if you're in the water instead of filling the boat up with water. But if you want to see what's up for this boat next, make sure you subscribe and I'll catch you on the next one.